Hello, and you're very welcome to another edition of the Shamrock Podcast. I'm John Mann, and of course, the show is sponsored by Orga.com. Check out the website and use my promo code Shamrock Podcast to get 15% off. And today I'm joined by former Antrim legend Kevin McGurty and former Wicklow great John McGrath. So we'll start off with John. How's tricks?
Yeah, all doing good. Very happy to have some football back on the TV. You watch plenty of it.
Brilliant. And what about yourself, Kev? Any crack?
Yeah, just a bit like John. I'll happy to see the football back. Happy to see people tweeting about the football. I'll not mention who, John. Yeah, it was really an orgasmic weekend of football action. To be honest with you, plenty of goals, lots of challenges about referees and rules and stuff like that. Plenty of impact subs coming on to give us lots of talking points. So really enjoyed that weekend. It's the first time maybe in 10 years that I've had a bit of saliva in my mouth about football. It was really good.
Fantastic. Great to hear, Kevin, and great to hear, John. So we can crack into it, boys. In Division 1, you had Donegal against Monaghan, Armagh against Tyrone, Dublin against Kerry, and Galway against Roscommon. And of course, the first game of Division 1 at the weekend was Donegal against Monaghan, and this game ended in a draw. A terrific game of football, Kevin McGurty.
Yeah, what an advertisement for Ulster football. After 20-25 minutes, we're all thinking Monaghan were going to run away with this game. And all of a sudden it ends up, listening to the commentary on it. I think on Radio Ulster was listening, Brendan Devaney was on commentary. It was just absolutely, I was out on the golf course and I think I was hitting some of the best shots of my life because it was just getting me going. It was exhilarating. First 20-22 minutes, Monaghan, unlike they did last week against Armagh, they really got off to a flyer. Obviously Conor McCarthy will take all the headlines, and rightly so, for his first half display. Okay, Monaghan started this week with a bit stronger of a team. Darren Hughes started this week, which was a bit of a difference. Still no Conor McManus until half time, no Niall Kearns until maybe the second half. But in fairness, Monaghan really, I suppose they were a wee bit brilliant from their performance and their defeat last week. They come out, I fully expected Donegal to win this game, to be honest with you, hands down. But fair play to the way the Monaghan come out. They threw the shackles off. Colin McCarthy in particular, what a first half performance. None of his goals were simple tap-ins. He had a lot of work to do. The skill, the agility, the finishing he had. I suppose from the opposite side of that will be looking at Donegal's defending. Maybe as an issue coming in the game. But what an incredible performance. What a game of football. From Donegal's point of view, number of brilliant factors coming out of it. Michael Murphy gets injured early on. At one point in the second half, I think they're 6 or 7 points down. They come out of nowhere from it. The performance of Patrick McBurdy, I think he scored 8 points. I mentioned him last week, coming back into a wee bit of form. He's a wonder player when he wants to be. He's central to Donegal, and again, he's stepping up to the mark this year. He started the year really well, which is a good sign for Donegal fans. Michael Langan, again, improving on what he has done the last couple of years. He steps up with a real important goal at an important time. I think after McCarthy gets his third goal, he scores in there at the end. And another real positive point for Donegal. Or McNeely's back, and that's a real for us football purists to see him back. He's 6 on legs as a player. He really is a great footballer. So great to see that back. And the one big point for Donegal coming into the game is one, their defending wasn't great, and their attitude wasn't great. Really at the back, they opened up 2 or 3 times. That really concerned Declan Bonner. And the other big issue, if Donegal are going to win Ulster this year, or if they're going to go any further, they're going to need Michael Murphy, and that injury is a big question mark in a short turnaround season. If it is a hamstring, then big question marks over them moving forward. But look, wonderful advertisement for football. I think overall there was 39 scores in a game of football. That's what we want to see. It was an incredible game that way. It ebbed and flowed. Again, pity crowds weren't in, but I really enjoyed this. And long may that take game of football improve. Go on this season. So credit to both teams. Credit to Donegal for their fighting spirit. Credit for Monaghan for picking up from where they left off last week. But for Donegal, a couple of questions coming out of the game, and maybe that injury to Murphy is maybe a big dark cloud looming for the season.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of doubt. It was a great game at the weekend, and we did not know what way it was going to go. And the next game was Armagh against Tyrone, and Tyrone winning this game by 5 points. Good win for Brian Dewar and his men. So, John, I presume you got a look at that over the weekend.
Yeah, I did. I tell you, it was great. Same as the first game there, Donegal and Monaghan. The Tyrone and Armagh picked up with just free flowing attacking football. They're really really giving us something to think about there now. When we're watching Ulster football, the first thing we normally come to is defensive, but it's really eye catching at the moment. The best games of the weekend were all up there. I think Tyrone to think that they'd be very happy after that game. I'm sure Brian Dewar will be very happy with the performance of some of the lads that came in and finished off the game. They settled in pretty all right, but Armagh really kind of took the game to them, especially in the third quarter. And I think Stephen Campbell, who's generally on point, just had a little bit of well, I'm not sure if it's a mishap, but to not finish it off there has really let Tyrone back into the game, and the subs he brought on really came good. Close it out there. Was a 5-point win in the end, or a 4-point win. Something I'm sure they'll be very happy with, and some of the build on as well for the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of doubt, and another great game. And we clashed with the Titans, Dublin against Kerry on Sunday. A thrilling game of football, went down right to the wire. And Kevin, not a bad game on Sunday.
What can we say? Amazing. To use your coin from Irish politics, gubba. Task at times, bizarre at times, uncanny at times, it had everything, it had poor play, it had brilliant play, it had individual brilliance, it had refereeing decisions that really caused controversy. Coming out of the game, as you know, I'm a mad Kerry fan, as I said, week on week. More questions for Kerry to answer. I said to you coming into this game, this was all about how we look at the Kerry defence and what they could do against this Dublin forward line. Boy, were they pitiful. Were they really bad? Look, Peter Keane needs to concentrate on this. Forget about Kerry up front. We all know what they can do. We've seen it again at the weekend what they can do. Really at the back, again, goalkeeper, big error. They haven't ever really, replaced Dermot Murphy in there. It's always been a goalkeeping error or two that's let Kerry down. Another one at the weekend. Giving away a penalty, not really marking Kieran Kilkenny or Conor Costello or Conor O'Callaghan, the three sort of guys that ran the show. Forget about Paddy Smalls and all three. Them other three guys were really unmarked at times. So big questions for Kerry coming out of that game. It didn't really answer anything for me. On the plus side, I did say to you last week that David Clifford, to be among these greats, has got to step up to the mark. He's got to show leadership. Boy, did he show it in the second half. There's 78 points down. He comes out, he gets, I think he ended up with 1-6. Okay, he gets 1-1 from place balls, but he kept 4 or 5 wonderful points in play. I think 3 in a row when he stepped up at that period in the second half. And it was a really good game of football. Dublin, for the first time in a long while, were kept to 13 scores. I'd said the year before, they keep the scoreboard turning. They're averaging 17, 18 scores a game. They were kept to 13 scores, and Kerry disappointed. The 4 of them were goals. As I say, one self-inflicted. I want to talk about something else, and maybe John wants to come in. I said to you about Sean Hurst as a referee, that he's whistle happy. Let me just give Sean a bit of a leg up. Look, the rules aren't great for him, and we'll come maybe on to talk about that. But the Darren Moynihan issue, when he was through and goal, stopped it. We want the forward in our game to get that, to get that bit of advantage. We want to see scores. He stops it. It's an obvious goal. The other issue is Billy McMahon. In the French Revolution, if Billy McMahon had a kick in the head off somebody with a guillotine the way he took the head off Stephen O'Brien at the end of the game for the penalty, he would have been sent off. So a lot of spec on Sean, for 1 or 2 decisions, maybe just set it up. But as I say, the game had everything. It had forward play, defence play. Maybe called Kerry, in fairness, great character, a bit like Donegal coming back from the dead, but coming out of the game, lots of questions to answer at the back. Still, for me, not answering them questions, Dublin opposing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and a great game it was on Sunday. And moving on, you had Galway against Roscommon, and Galway got back in the horse, 216 to 113, and John Cork Joyce will be very happy with that one.
Yeah, it's a massive turnaround for them in the space of a week. It's hard to know really where they're going. I know the first week out, they were deplorable. How do you turn it around? But he said himself that the players were positive for the week after. They were all bouncing, ready for training. So they kind of gave him I'm sure they put asked him the questions of looking forward to the next game and they want to kind of right the wrongs. And they definitely did because Roscommon are not an easy team to play in Connacht there. You can see they're putting it up to every team to play year in, year out for the last few years there. And I think Anthony Cunningham's doing a really fine job with them. When you've got a defensive structure with Daly's involved in it. I know a couple of them are out at the moment, but with a defensive structure with Daly's, you got some of the forwards Roscommon have are really interesting and really classy players. So I think Corey Joyce will be very happy with turnaround and how he went about it last weekend. Did some really good performances too. Obviously Shane Walsh stepped up a bit from the previous week. Conrad was going well, and just as Finnegan full forward for Galway really impressed me from what I saw of him. But I suppose it'll be interesting to see how they can turn around and see if they can get a win next week as well, because that'll be the big turning point for the whole season, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
John, can I just make a point on Galway? I mean, one thing for me in Galway is, again, a bit like Kerry, you need to get the goalkeeper sorted out. This boy Parr and that's every time he hits a kick out. I think Corey Joyce has been to CSGP 3 or 4 times for anxiety tablets with this guy. You know, they're giving away cheap stuff at the back. Geez, like,
Yeah.
you know, with a goalkeeper, you know, it's such an important, you know, Cluxon gets all the products, and rightly say, you know, this boy Parr, you know, somebody's got to start to teach them. Joyce got to look for a new keeper, because even watching the game, you know, you can feel the sweat running down your leg with this kid coming out. So, I mean, that's a big issue they're going to have to address coming into the championship.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And I nearly sent Chris Kerr from Antrim up to him, Kevin, to give him a hand.
He's quite Senator Kerr.
And moving on to that, Division 2, we had Westmeath against Mayo. Obviously, a great game, and Mayo just about getting over the line. So a good win for Mayo, Kevin, and a good performance by Westmeath also.
Yeah, look, again, let's give Westmeath a small bit of credit, but ultimately, look, they didn't get anything from the game. They played well throughout the 70 minutes. There's no doubts about it. Look, I think with 70 minutes gone, there was a point in it. And you know, Killian O'Connor, I think, kicked 2 or 3 points in added on time. It gives you a sense of the match itself. But as I say, you don't get any plaudits for that. I'm sick of people up here in Antrim and football and Herman saying, "Oh, we played well." You don't get anything for playing well. You need to get the points, and you know that's 2 weeks in a row now. Westmeath to put good performances together and got beat at the very death. You know, it's great to see them come, and it's great to see them trying to build something there, but unfortunately they're now in a relegation playoff. So good bits for Westmeath again. Lurkin Auckland again, and John Heston, 2 guys with the goals. Nip tuck first half really, and you know, as I said in the preview program, I really expected the Mayo to come away with this handy enough, but it was nip tuck up till half time. You know, I think the one thing about this is Mayo's strength and depth showed at half time. They made a number of subs. They brought on the legs of Colin Boyd. So Kevin McLaughlin come on, kick the point, boys like that. So that was the big thing, that Mayo always had that wee bit of strength and depth. You know, Killian O'Connor. You know, one of the big aspects of this game is, again, back to the rules. There was a foul on Killian O'Connor one time in the second half, and that was possibly under the new rules, should have been a penalty. So that's a big talking point of that game for me, to be honest. But it was the Mayo subs, the Mayo strength and depth towards the end that shone through. Look, as I said, the Mayo need to get up a league. They will get up a league. All credit to Westmeath, but you know, for me, it was always a foregone conclusion. Strength and depth told, and Westmeath now, you know, they have to get through these battles. They've two hardened weeks, 2 good games, you know, 140 minutes, whatever else, of decent football. big test and now coming up in this relegation playoff, and hopefully these two games stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. A terrific performance by the Westmeath lads Saturday, and they should take full credit for it. And in the next game, you had Laois against Cork. Cork coming out on top, 2-12 to 10 points. And John, the Cork footballers have finally got off the mark in the 2021 season.
Yeah, I tell you, I was kind of looking forward to this game in particular. I think there's a bit of a mixed bag with both of these teams. You just don't know what they're going to throw out. They can go out and they can throw up some fantastic performances and get wins, and then sometimes they can just falter and crumble. And it was just wait and see which one crumbled first, really. Cork, to be honest, I know they got a lot of kind of plaudits last year for their win against Kerry, but I wasn't overly impressed with them even against Kerry last year. I thought if Kerry had snuck the win, I think people would have been kind of giving out more about Cork than they were about Kerry's defeat last year. Like, they're just not impressed me for a county of their size. They have finances, they have everything you can ask for a proper inter-county setup, but they're just not getting results there at the moment, and they should be always competing in Division 1, but they're not. They're in a bit of trouble there. And look, they got off the mark the other day against Laois. They did well. They played relatively well, but I think Laois gave them every opportunity there. They didn't look like they were firing at all. Laois have a very, very strong full forward line in Kingston's, and the other UCD boy, I can't think of his name there, and they're just really impressive, but not enough ball going near them, not enough in the defence unit to hold even the likes of Cork, who for me aren't really an attacking threat. I think they'll struggle at the moment, but Cork, if they can't turn around next week and get a win, they're still going to be rooted really to the Division 2, which is a place they shouldn't be playing in.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. That seems to be the outgoing opinion on it. And then the next game, you had Kildare against Clare, and a good win for Clare, 113 to 13 points, and probably a surprise enough result. But Kildare's in trouble, Kevin.
They are and they aren't. Look, let's say this first. Before you even ask me my player of the week and my man of the week, it goes to Owen Kerry and Colin Collins. There is 2 weeks in a row, 2 standout results going up to Kildare after Kildare had that big win over Cork. Listen, they keep on punching above their weight. It's absolutely brilliant to see. It's a great tonic to the heart for the so-called smaller counties, like Sir John and myself or Wicklow and Antrim, to see that. It's a great template and it's fantastic. It's 2 years in a row, actually, the Clare now beat Kildare once down in Allianz last year. They beat them by a point down there. It was very, I listened to the game. Des Cahill was actually doing it for RTE, and it was quite a dull game in the first half. I think it was 6-3 to Kildare at half time. Kevin Feely seemed to be pulling strings up front there for Feely and Highland up front for Kildare. But Clare came out with a new attitude in the second half. I think Owen Cleary took 7 points in the second half alone. 4 from frees, 5 from frees, 2 from play. So again, his contribution, another fella there, Tuberty, he got a goal there as well. And they had a couple of goal chances. I mean, Clare could have won this by more. So, I mean, listening to the game, it was interesting even to hear Des Cahill about, how good of a tonic going to games that Clare football is for people at the minute, how they're going up against the big guns, and how they've great confidence in doing that. Look, Kildare started it better. The big thing for me about Kildare as well is, and maybe it's a talking point, Paul Cribben's come back in there to Kildare, big reputation, good player. I've seen him, really good player. Is he really stamping his authority on the game the way the likes of Conor Glass is at the minute with Derry, or the way that we hope Conor McKenna might add something new into Tyrone? That's a big question I have about Kildare. Where is his place in that Kildare team at the minute? That leadership. Is he able to stamp his authority on the game? Kildare, too much of the same for me under Jack last year. Too inconsistent. Should have put a good result last week on a good result this week. So I suppose Kildare players, management, supporters, heads all over the place. But by God, Clare, it's just absolutely fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and fair play to Tom Collins up there. It's a terrific job that he's doing. In the next game, you had Down against Meath, and Meath coasting home to victory in this one. I thought it'd be a lot tighter. John, Down aren't there, are they?
No, I took this down as well. I was an awful lot more with Paddy Tally there. I don't know. I can't really see where they're going at the moment. They have a bit of, from what I see, a relatively new squad, new players in there. From what I would know anyway. Like even to look through their team the other day, they had five different free takers kicking ball the other day. It doesn't look too settled for a team going in playing league football. But on the other hand, Meath have just been fantastic. And to be honest, I think obviously Dublin are there are giving them a bit of trouble in Leinster. But you look to be the standout team in Leinster outside of Dublin. They're very consistent. Got their act together. They're obviously unfortunate to come out of Division 1 last year. They really troubled a lot of teams last year in Division 1. So they can feel hard done by being back in Division 2, but at the same time, they're just going about their business again. 2 from 2, seems to be going as clean as they can. I'm sure they're looking forward to the rattle off in Leinster as well. Andy McEntee seems to be just a very good, strong, determined operator, and I'm sure there's no mess there with him. So I look forward to seeing more of them now this year again, and to have 2 quality inside forwards as well, or Sullivan stepping in and out. Always a threat on the ball, always looking for the ball. And then this new kid in the block, Shorty Morris, is just clipping scores for fun. I know he did damage last year against Wicklow as well, so he's definitely one to watch for the coming summer.
Yeah, John, just a quick word on Down. Where do we start? This is really horrible to watch and see.
They're very down.
At the quarter song, they're going down. I've chatted to a few down people in the last couple of days. I mean, this is not good. And this is a county was an All-Ireland final, okay, 10 years ago. This is a county of great pride. But as I said, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, Paddy Tally doesn't suit Down. He doesn't. This is not good at all. I listened to the match live on the radio. Martin Clark was doing the co-commentary. He was quite upset at times about Down, the way they were going. They scored 14 points they scored, and 9 of them were from frees. Like for a Down team that we would always associate a county flamboyant going forward, it really isn't good for Ulster football this at the minute. The big difference in this game was Meath went down twice in the first half. I'll say this again, twice in the first half to 14 men, and Down couldn't cope. Meath were still ahead. In fact, Meath could have been further ahead at half time, and it was a really, really hard listen to on the radio, this one, because just we're down on at the minute, and it's not looking good at all. I'm really, they're going to go to Westmeath, or that's going to be a neutral venue, whatever else next weekend, because they've lost home advantage. And the way the Westmeath played, I think they'll get one over on Down, and Down are in big trouble. They need look. They're going to get a sharp chip in the championship this year, the way things are going with Donegal, but I think there's a bigger picture here. As I said to you before, underage hasn't worked out for Down the last 5 years. It really hasn't, and it's now showing at senior. And they're going to need to do something radical. I think they need to change their management team at senior, but they're also going to need to put in place serious structures underage, because they may just drop off the map very soon, and that's going to be, catastrophic for us to football.
And moving on to Division 3, you have Offaly against Limerick, and Offaly got the win here, 60 points to Limerick's 111, and good win for Offaly, and John Mahon's on the road, Kevin.
Yeah, look, I predicted Limerick in this. I said I've seen him play 4 or 5 times over the last couple of years. This was a nip and tuck game. Really was back and forth. Again, give a shout out to the old timer Bernard Allen, as I did last week. Came up with, I think he scored 5 points. But the big difference in I think Hugh Burke got 1-3 for Limerick, possibly at half time. I think it was 5 each. Big difference in this game. John Mahon introduced 3 subs, and each of them kicked not 2. He introduced 5 subs over the hour, but 3 of the subs had a massive impact in the game. They added 6 points to the scoreboard. Horan Farrell, and not surprisingly, Niall McNamee. So it was a wee bit of cuteness on the line there. Them subs come on, made a huge difference. It's 2 out of 2 for Offaly now, which is great to see. They'll have a semi-final coming up. For Limerick, look, they've got a big game next week against Tipperary. So, Offaly on the upward curve. Limerick, good win, and then a competitive game this week. We'll see how it goes for next week.
Yeah, super. And no better man to talk with this one. Tipperary 2-12, Wicklow 1-12, and Tipperary probably just about getting over the line in this one, John. So what was the thoughts in that game?
Yeah, disappointing. Very disappointing. They've come up from Division 4, having another tackle at Division 3, and just so far it's just haven't picked up any points, even though performances they've done all right. They've done all right so far in Division 3. The Tipperary obviously are coming off the back of a Munster title, which is huge. But they're having their own troubles down there as well right now. I know there's quite a few guys out injured. So it's a real big chance for Wicklow to really do something to kickstart their summer. But look, Division 3 is a big step up from the actual defensive side of things. They're doing all right defensively, but to break down Division 3 defense is actually a lot tougher than Division 4, and that's where there seems to be trouble at the moment. They're finding it hard to get scores, especially from play. But Tipperary didn't really blow anybody away either. Wicklow, the man with a black card after 10 minutes, or just short of 10 minutes. They didn't look over impressive then, Tipperary, during that spell. Wicklow kept in it and they kept plugging, and that's a really good sign for Wicklow at the moment, that they're at least keeping in games, even when not performing too well. And then unfortunately, just Tipperary had a bit of a spell then the second half, pulled away a bit. I think got with it maybe 6-7 points ahead at one stage. But Wicklow kept battling, kept fighting, they never let the head down. That was great to see. And Shawnee rattled a penalty in the last couple of minutes. Very, very encouraging to see that they're competing at least in Division 3 at the moment. But I know it'll be a big push next week against Limerick. Looking forward to seeing how they get on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the next game, we had Derry 5-13 for man and 9 points. Kevin, who saw that coming?
Nobody really. Let's be honest. Derry were very impressive before against Longford, and Fermanagh got a win that nobody expected. Look, I think it masquerades the fact of what the true story of this game was. I mean, at halftime it was 1-7 to 6 points. When an inter-county team scores 3 points in the second half, they've either all walked off the pitch, or there's a gale force breeze blowing against them. That wasn't just against boys in the second half. I'm sure Ricey will be very disappointed the way that Fermanagh performed in that second half. In fact, in the match, they went 2 points up really and got a good foothold in the game. Derry got maybe a goal in there at the start of the first half, maybe give them that wee bit of foothold then to get back into the game. Again, and it was the same old show. Sean Quigley was the main source of scoring, but you can only do so much. You need other guys to step up to the mark. And on the total other hand, Derry had 11 different scores. Shane McGuigan kicks 2-5. They had on the 7 points last week. Joe Brawley, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but he put up a photo this morning and yesterday morning of Conor Glass catching a ball. By God, if you've ever watched the guy catch a ball, you want to see the still photograph. Unreal. Conor Glass influence, adds into week 2. So good last week. Great to see Cian McFall playing okay, getting onto the scoreboard. Benny Hearn's back, who's a lovely corner forward who will always keep the scoreboard ticking. So a lot of positivity for Derry, score 5-12 in any game. Added on to I think it was not 21 they got last week. To move into the Cavan game, I think that to go to Cavan, John, this week, so that will be a real big test for them. But look, Derry are going to go up. They have good kids coming through from them a couple of years at minor and 21s. We've got a good, astute manager, and look, they're on the upward curve. Fermanagh, on the other hand, big game for them now against Longford. And that league, what I like about this league is that is one of the leagues that's really in the mix this weekend. Obviously score difference wee bit against Fermanagh, but Derry, real upward curve team to watch this year, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the show was sponsored by Retrowear.com. Check the website out and use my promo code JMACPodcast to get 15% off on their website. Last game of Division 3 was Cavan against Longford. Cavan got the victory here, 119 to 113. So, John, the Breffney boys are back at it.
Yeah, the Breffney boys picked up fairly well. All right, they I tell you, Longford I think got a raw deal being matched up there and with 3 Ulster teams. They're finding it difficult there at the moment, really. Corey Davis looks to be a smart man as a coach, but it's just not working there at the moment for him. So hopefully things will turn around for him. But Cavan, just business as usual there for them, surely. Going into it, you'd expect them to get that win. The one thing that I don't know whether it's a positive or a negative, but they had 119, 20 scores, and I think they had maybe 11 scores, and it's a really strong sign. It's a good thing, but it seems to be over and over and over again. There just seems to be a wide spread of scores. I know every coach and manager in the country would say that's a great thing, but it doesn't look like Cavan really have a go-to man up front. That's my view of it. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. There's not an out-and-out threat where we need somebody, when we need the ball in hand, who do we give it to? Look, again, there's the argument, every coach would say that's a great thing, but you want to be having somebody that's popping up, one or two players that's popping up reliable week in, week out, kicking 3, 4, 5 points. It just doesn't seem to be there at the moment with Cavan. They're getting everybody scoring, and that's a great sign. It really is a good thing. You want to have somebody there, just the clutch plays, get the ball to as well. But look, Rod McKieran's still doing a massive push again next week, and then they're more than likely have a good push for promotion again. Like,
yeah, definitely. And Kevin, think Shawnee Johnson's to come out of retirement to play for the Cavan Seniors again?
Well, the rumour was that after Phil Nicholson won the Open, he probably would be coming out of retirement to play for Kildare Hurlers again, but I don't know whether that's true or not with Jelly, But it was probably one of the best pictures I've seen all the time going on. He looked like an ice hockey player, taken out of absolutely super hot, the time he went on the pitch. So, no, Jelly would be, he would be a welcome addition up front. Young Smith that come on, played very well when he came on for Cavan. So, look, a win's a win for Cavan. Like both counties, it was tight as a drum there, but Cavan have a big game next week against Derry. If they can get a win there, then it's where they want to be back into 2. If not, disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. A really, really exciting game this weekend against Derry. And lastly, Division 4, the home for Antrim football. You had Wexford 18 points and Waterford 13. So, John, a shocking result for Wexford, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's a difficult one for them to take, I'm sure. Look, Waterford, they keep popping up. They keep popping up and getting results year in, year out. Against most teams Division 4, they still give a bit of trouble. But Wexford really need to get their acting gear there. Shane Roach is a young guy managing there at the moment. I think he's only 30, 33 maybe now. A difficult job for him, but you'd just be expecting them to really push on. They look like they're just struggling. They're struggling defensively. They're struggling up front. And it's going to be a hard one to turn around again. To go into their next game to play Carlow, try to get a win. Who knows where that's going to go? Carlow seems to be in a good place. So Wexford just rooted to the bottom again isn't great. Well, Waterford, I'm sure they'll be happy to get a win now. And I think, does that leave them then with a hunt of promotion if Carlow get their win? That means there's only one. There's still playoff for promotion. So they put themselves in a nice position going forward there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Leitrim 10 points, Loud 19 points. Kevin, good win for Mickey Hart.
Yeah, look, it's already you can see Mickey Hart stamp and what he's doing in there. As I said, the vibes come up Loud are really, really good. They're an upward curve in the stadium. Peter Fitzpatrick's coming out in the press, and he's making real positive vibes about where Loud's going. And I'd love to see that for a smaller county. And I'm not just paying lip service. So they're really ambitious and fair play to them. They give it for 70 minutes. They were very unlucky to come out on the wrong side of that. They went to Leitrim. They started quite well. I think it was 6-2 at one stage. Leitrim then pulled it back. But in the second half, Loud, they came out. I think they got 9 unanswered points in the second half, and really pulled away. So it's just the more things change, the more they stay the same. Next week, Mr. McEntee up against Mr. Hart, for that semi-final place. So it'll be really interesting to see, that dynamic on the sideline and the way them guys go. So fair play to Mickey Hart, fair play to Louth. 2 weeks in a row, they put in decent performances. Didn't get the break of the ball last week. Are now ready for a big game this coming weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the last game of Division 4, you had the mighty Antrim winning 3-13 to Sligo's 3-12. And I suppose I'll ask you, John, first. Paddy Cunningham show at the end, so great win for the Antrim Bucklers.
I tell you, Paddy Cunningham just seems to be just given the ball. He's that much more the captain they will need. It's just remarkable what he's doing there. He's come back, 36 now. The year he had last year in particular, I thought he was fabulous. But Antrim just seems to be in a really good place at the moment. They're definitely on that upward curve. Enda McGinley is obviously a very, very good fit for Antrim football to try and get them from Division 4 up and out of it. And look, from my view and from the history I have to Antrim, there's always been plenty of footballers up there. Lots to work with. And I'm sure Enda McGinley will drag it out of them there. Sligo, I'd say, are a little bit disappointed there to let that one slip. Obviously, McEntee's of the same caliber, Enda McGinley trying to get them up and out. That'll disappoint them, but look, he's another chance next week there to try to get out of that basement. But fair play to Antrim again. Seems to be improving every week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have 2 questions for you, Kevin. A great win for Antrim, and has Enda McGinley been giving you a call yet?
No, Enda seems to be doing well without my advice at the minute. Yeah, it is. It's a really good win. Look, in years gone by, they maybe wouldn't have won them battles. Maybe down in Auckland playing myself, or going to Markovitz Park, we wouldn't have come on the right side of that win. It's 2 weeks in a row now. They've gritted it out, which is great to see. It builds momentum in the camp. Enda was on off the ball last night, and he was really enthusiastic about the project moving forward, which is great to see. I just want to say this about Paddy Cunningham. Paddy Cunningham's actually from St. Galls. His father's a St. Galls man, but then lost the plot and moved to Lab Yard. So Paddy's actually, he comes from true Aryan stock, so that's where he gets his skill from. But, Paddy, as we all know, Paddy's had his ups and downs with illness and whatever else, and he's come back. And look, Paddy probably knows he's a bit part player now. And I'll come on to this in a wee second. Paddy kicked a good score, but I have to ask from the other issue, Paddy's going up and down the country for his left foot being a wand, and you got to ask, did McEntee not really think about this before he was going up to Antrim? Because the first thing I'm thinking about is, yes, my own team and my own setup, but I'm looking at who the other players are, and if I'm seeing Paddy Cunningham coming off the bench or Mick McCann coming off the bench, I'm automatically sensing something here, and that's 2 weeks in a row he's come off the bench. 2 weeks in a row, maybe managers haven't paid attention to him. So, it's all about preparation from the other side as well. You underestimate guys like this at your peril. Yeah, so, moving forward, it's good momentum for Antrim. They have Leitrim now. They know where they are. They're going to have 2 more games in the league. So they've got Leitrim at home. You would expect them to win that. You would expect them to run the squad and get other boys around. No disrespect to Leitrim. And then go into the semi-final against probably a Carlow or a Wexford, probably looking at score difference and stuff down there. So, look, they'll be looking to get up. The big issue is, as I said to you before, they can't, Paddy Cunningham's he's not the serious case of Benjamin Button. He's not going to keep on going on forever. It's about these younger lads and who else is going to step up to the mark. In fairness, quick mention to Owen Eastwood, he kicked 3 points in play. He's a nice wee corner forward. So, look, all credit to them, it's due. They're going in the right direction. The trajectory's up. By the sounds of them and by the sounds of other people in the top 2, real good camp at the minute going forward, and that's good signs.
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And fair play to Antrim, a good win, and that Paddy Cunningham still going strong. And to wrap up, boys, who be your player of the week, John, from the weekend gone in?
I think there's a lot of standout performances. Obviously, the Division 1 boys stand out, and Clifford and Conor Callan. But look, Conor McCarthy has been threatening for a long time. He blows a little bit hot and cold, but I like the fact that he he picked up his performances when McManus wasn't on the pitch. He looks like he's ready to deliver and kind of lead the line when asked as well. So to me, I think that first half in particular was incredible because they weren't just goals on a plate. He created 3 goals basically out of nothing as well. But he created three goals when he was wrapped. You'd have to question the defending at times. That's how good the goals were. So yeah, to me, I thought he was brilliant.
Absolutely. And Kevin, your player of the week?
I told you the player I wanted to watch last week was Peter Hart, and he really came up trumps for me this week. Say big question marks around him in Tyrone where he's going to fit into this. He was brilliant for them, as was Darren McCurry. Still wearing the dodgy shorts. McCurry is pulled up red his waistline, so we're maybe going to have to address that at Congress. But them guys, really stood out for me in the Tyrone Armagh game. But I am going to give it to Owen Cleary. Look, when you're a kid coming in the inter-county scene, you want to make a name. You're scoring in 2 weeks. You're scoring 17 points. Yes, he is hitting place balls, but you know that he's a young lad with pressure on his shoulders. He's playing in the Clare team. It's maybe unfashionable. Look, brilliant. It's like John Heston. Every week he's performing. Every week they don't maybe get the credit because they're not on screen. Look, these guys need to be pushed and given the credit. So yeah, my man of the week's Owen Cleary.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lads, thanks a million for joining me on the podcast this week, and it was a great weekend of action. And of course, this podcast was brought to you by orgaretro.com. Check the website out and use my promo code JMACPodcast to get 15% off. Lads, thanks a million. Kevin, enjoyed a few pints. John, enjoyed a bit of training.
Cheers. See you later on, John. Right, John.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Guys.